Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. I'm back with a brand new What If. This is actually gonna be a part 1 of 2. I'm just gonna do 2 parts for this series. So we'll have like maybe a 30-minute part and then another 30-minute part. I was gonna make it a movie, but I kind of got a late start to the day because of basically some stuff. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoy, and yeah, that's about it. So I hope y'all enjoy, and let's just get right into the what if. Let's get it. Tanjiro Kamado, someone that many of us know as this child, this young boy that believed in the good of everybody, even in the good of those who are demons, those who are wretched, the ones that would kill and feed on other human beings. He saw the good in them. But in this timeline and in this world, it was far different. Tanjiro Kamado was raised and born into a family with a deep, dark secret. A secret that many and many others would never know. There's a secret power that nobody knew about at this time, known as the Force. The Force was as if it was the air. It was everywhere around you, but many did not know of this so-called phenomenon. Many believed it to be a folktale, a myth. The Force derived off of many of things, either peace, harmony, finding inner focus within yourself, and you would walk the line of what they know as a Jedi. But Tanjiro's family, at least back in his ancestors, they did not walk that line. They walked the line of power. But the only reason why they did this, and many descendants before many ancestors before Tanjiro, the reason why they did this, well, was because of demons. Demons began to scour the land, and they hunted down humans as if they were just prey. But his family, or at least his ancestors, needed to find the strongest and the best way of eliminating these demons. And when they finally found it, it was lost to time. It was lost at their fingertips. But that same thing that they were looking for would eventually arrive once again and be filtered through Tanjiro himself. The reason why they weren't able to really maintain this power, the power of the Sith, was because they never felt true horror, never felt true pain. Most of them being sun breathers and others being very passive or basically pacifists, it seems that there was no way this would happen. But when Tanjiro would leave his family and arrive back to see that everybody except for his little sister Nezuko were completely dead and mutilated, something would click into Tanjiro's head. Some rage, some rhyme or reason to kill and defend what was left of his family was in his head. Seeing his sister breathing just slightly, something clicked in his mind, and he began to float his sister Nezuko to him as he grabs her and carries her away. But as he runs away, something beneath the rubble of his home begins to shake, flying toward Tanjiro and slamming into his hip, getting stuck there, but at the same time pushing him off of a nearby cliff. As they tumble toward the cliff and land on the ground, Nezuko is awake, springing up as if she's some killer demon, attacking Tanjiro. But in a whole different state of mind, Tanjiro stops her with one flick of his hand, telling his sister to calm down in a stern voice. She would then sit on the snow and wouldn't say a word and wouldn't have one reaction. Tanjiro would pat her on the head, but wouldn't really smile much. It seems like the power that is creeping within Tanjiro is taking away that, well, the niceness that was once within this child. Tanjiro would then sense something coming nearby. A sword would come sweeping through the snow, going for the head of Nezuko. Tanjiro would immediately stop it mid-air, right before the slash could go through her neck. Tanjiro stares at the person in front of him and begins to push him back toward a tree, slamming him hard against the tree, telling him not to ever touch his sister. Tanjiro begins to lift him up that said tree, but just as he does, he passes out. Tanjiro lays there completely out cold as the man, the Hashira, the water Hashira more specifically, stands there in complete shock. He wonders who this is, how he was able to do that, and what is that on his hip. He goes to touch the metal or metallic weapon on his hip, but it seems like it's attached there and it will not move no matter what. He waits for Tanjiro to awaken, and it's as if he isn't that same person that he was during that state of pure rage. But at the same time, he is not some nice kid. Tanjiro would then question the man by the name of Tomioka about what the heck is going on. Tomioka explains that his sister is a demon, and it seems that he's gotten her under control. He has no idea how, but it seems like the boy has a power that many people wouldn't even believe existed. He's heard about something in the books that he's read, but nothing to this extent. Tanjiro doesn't really know what he's talking about, but nonetheless, he picks up his sister that is currently awake, and Tomioka says that if he chooses this path of killing demons to avenge the family that he lost, that he might want to get some training. Tanjiro continues to walk past, ignoring Tomioka at this point. Tomioka says one last thing and just tells him that basically good luck, after he tells him that demons die in the sun, so he might want to get his little sister into some cover. Tomioka would then leave and would hope that the young boy would make a right decision and hopefully find some sort of training. Maybe it's with Urokodaki, the recommendation that he would drop in, or maybe it's with someone else in the future. But this boy, hopefully he doesn't waste his talents on just walking around and doing nothing. But Tanjiro would be doing far more than he possibly would believe. He would want to go to this so-called Urokodaki. After getting his sister a little bit of a box-like area to basically hide in from the sun, Tanjiro would head over to this mountain that housed one of the former Hashira of some sorts, and as night began to basically come, he would run across his first demon. This demon would be known as the Temple Demon. The Temple Demon would approach out of the building that he's feasting in and see Tanjiro, immediately thinking that maybe Tanjiro is one of, another demon, telling him to get away and that basically he's eating this prey on his own. Just as he realizes, though, Tanjiro is not a demon, it's only the girl next to him. He immediately dashes at Tanjiro, but immediately Tanjiro grabs something right next to his hip. It's as if it's this metal or metallic like hilt, and it immediately gets holstered out of Tanjiro's, or right into Tanjiro's hand, and as Tanjiro swings it toward the demon, immediately this glowing red light swings across the demon's face, slashing his face in half entirely, and immediately the demon begins to crumble into nothingness. Tanjiro is in complete shock and begins looking at this hilt-like thing. It's very similar to a sword's hilt, but it's a little bit thicker, but it's also this shiny silver. But what came out of the hilt was no blade. It was this light, this beam. He doesn't even know how to explain it. He walks over to a tree and swings toward it as the tree just slashes in half and begins to tumble down to the ground and makes a loud noise. While this all is happening, someone is currently watching them. Urokodaki has just arrived on the scene and wants to basically question Tanjiro for himself. He brings Tanjiro eventually to his home, asking him about anything that's going on or anything he's gone through. Tanjiro, not sensing any bad or any basically betrayal within this man, he explains what's going on and what he's seen and what has occurred. Tanjiro begins to say that his family all died to a so-called demon, and he wants to kill that demon. Urokodaki says that he can make him stronger, that he can train him, that Tanjiro has a special ability, But just as Tanjiro is listening to Urokodaki, Tanjiro looks at him one last time, holsters his blade, or his lightsaber, and begins to just walk away with his sister, telling Urokodaki that he doesn't need help. That he actually, he realized something. He wants to go around killing as many demons as possible. Tanjiro just immediately leaves into the forest, but Urokodaki tells him that killing demons won't be that simple. But just as he's saying these things, Tanjiro is gone within the forest. Tanjiro would begin to scour everywhere and anywhere within this forest, killing demon after demon. Eventually, he would grow bored. He'd want power, strength, and the more he subsides and the more he, basically gives in to this power that he's feeling, the stronger he seems to be getting. But as he travels more and more throughout the year, and approaching a year and a half, he'd eventually come across a giant mansion. This giant mansion was known as the Hashira Mansion. Tanjiro can sense many people within and approaches the mansion. When he arrives at the mansion, many people approach to stop him. 2 Hashira, in fact, stand in front of him. One that he remembers, the Water Hashira, and also someone else, the Wind Hashira. They both stand in front, the Water Hashira not saying much, but knowing why he's there. Sort of. At least that's what he thinks. He thinks he's there for training, getting stronger. But the Wind Hashira, for some reason, gets an eerie feeling about Tanjiro, about the way he's presenting himself. Tanjiro walks up and begins to question both of them about what they've been doing, what's been going on, and why is it that this so-called, king of the demons decided to approach his home, kill his family, and they're sitting here doing nothing. Tanjiro begins to tell them that he's been on a hunt. He's killed demon after demon after demon. Countless have fallen to his blade, and more will in the future, but he just wants to know, what are they doing? They begin to say that, or at least the Wind Hashira begins to say that Tanjiro is some newbie, some random, that he has no right to say a word. But just as he's saying this, Tanjiro lifts him into the air, without even touching him, throwing him toward the building right in front of them, smashing into the side. Giyu immediately takes out his blade to fight, but Tanjiro walks by him as if there was no threat. He doesn't care. He walks by with obviously his little pouch with his backpack with his sister within it, and he begins to approach the hole that he made in the building, asking the Wind Hashira one more time what they are doing to make sure that all of these demons really die. This large commotion would then bring the rest of the Hashira and everybody else that is currently there to their location. But just as they do this, the master of all the Demon Slayers, or the Demon Slayer Corp, would approach and try to calm down Tanjiro, telling him that the Demon Slayer Corp is built to, kill the demons. That's the whole role of them. Yes, they've struggled, but at the end of the day, every advantage goes to the demons. Immediately, Tanjiro looks at him and calms down slightly and lets the Wind Hashira back up. He doesn't attack him once again, but he tells him that he's going to be hunting down these demons, and if any of them get in his way and mess up, that they're going to have to deal with him. Just as he begins to walk away, some of them question the demon in his bag. Of course, they've been able to understand that Nezuko, or his little sister, is currently a demon, and Tanjiro tells them that, she's fine, that he has it handled and that she doesn't attack anybody. But even if she wanted to, frankly, it doesn't really matter if she does. It's his little sister, and nothing's going to stop him from allowing her to do so. But at the end of the day, he wants her to be safe. So if that would lead her to danger and will lead him to more conflict, he would like to stay away from that. He just begins to head out, just as some of the demon slayers there, aka some of the Hashira, begin to tell him that the Slayer exams are coming up, so if he wants to kill more demons, that would be an opportunity for him to do so. Tanjiro thinks about it for a second and decides that he will take them up on that. When later on he would arrive at the Slayer exam, not for the intentions of even passing, just the intentions of killing every last demon he can possibly spot. As he basically is told the rules and what's going to happen, he's barely even listening to what's going on, eventually leading him to walking into the forest, killing every single demon he can possibly see. And it's as if now the demons are cowering after every single step he takes. The demons can be heard screaming in the distance as Tanjiro is just walking in their direction. It's as if he's giving off this aura of complete and utter darkness and a complete and utter, fear. That's what Tanjiro is instilling in some of these demons, eventually leading him to come across what is known as the Hand Demon, a disfigured and large demon that seemingly has no head. He would taunt toward Tanjiro, but then the closer Tanjiro would get, the pressure would feel immense. Tanjiro would begin to breathe in and out as his blade or his lightsaber would then appear. It's as if it's connected to control over this so-called breathing that these Hashira use. It seems like his power is very, very interesting. He's realized it throughout this entire time. When he breathes in and out, if he does it improperly, it hurts him. It feels imbalanced. At the same time, this power that he uses, that it's external to his breathing, seems somewhat connected. It's basically what we know as the Force, but Tanjiro doesn't really understand that entirely. But of course, he uses his breathing styles or his breathing linked with the Force to basically scrounge up a bunch of his power. And the deeper he goes within this darkness, within this state of mind that he wants to kill every single demon no matter the cost, the further his power begins to expand. His breathing style has been more refined throughout the year, and about the year and a half he's been just out on his own, even without help from anyone else. But the Force and basically this breathing style alone connected together allows him to outpace the mass majority of demons you could possibly think of. In a matter of seconds, he cuts down the Hand Demon, slicing him to bits, leaving nothing but ashes. He would watch as the body would crumble to dust, thinking that, that's just another day's of work. Tanjiro would make sure that every last demon within the forest would be cut down and destroyed, and then he would leave to the top of the mountain to wait for him to eventually leave. Of course, he would quote-unquote pass the exam and gain a crow. And obviously the two twins that were in front of him begin to explain so on and so forth about the medals that they're going to have to pick out. But before this even continues, Tanjiro just leaves, not saying another word, as he heads out with his so-called crow. He would begin cutting down, demon after demon he can even find and get his hands on, and eventually would be given small, minute missions that he would eventually decide to go on. One leading him to this small looking village and getting information about this demon that seems to be warping in and out. Nobody sees it, but it seems to be taking women in this village. Tanjiro is disgusted by this act, especially with the idea that his sister is with him, that these demons could be taking away these innocent people for nothing. This enrages Tanjiro even more, wondering where the other demon slayers are, and if he was having to do their job before, but he even became a quote-unquote official demon slayer. Nonetheless, he would get information from the locals either by force or by volunteer, eventually leading it to be finally the night. Tanjiro would wait and eventually sense something within the ground, and just as he popped out, or this demon popped out of its little portal, or whatever that little circle is, Tanjiro grabs him out of the air using the force, slamming him back into a wall and then into the ground. Immediately when the demon tries to leave once again and then hopefully use some sort of demon blood art or any strength that the demon has, he refuses to let him, keeping him right where he wants him, and begins to crush his hand in, or begins to crush his fingers into his own hand. Doing that begins to contort the demon's body into some sort of ball. Tanjiro begins to crush the insides of the demon, and of course the demon doesn't really feel much, but Tanjiro walks up, slicing the demon, or the ball of the demon, into literal bits. The demon is practically nothing at this point, and Tanjiro watches as it fades to dust. Just as he does this though, he looks toward his lightsaber, and he's relatively curious about, well, what this thing is actually made of. What does this thing even do? Of course, he's killed multiple demons with it, but he's heard of this whole Nietzsche ring blade thing, that he needs something to kill these demons or decapitate these demons. But his lightsaber, or whatever this thing is, does just the job. Frankly, far better than any Nietzsche ring blade. He doesn't necessarily understand the backstory of it, but maybe one day he'll understand it. With that said, he just immediately leaves. Of course, he's quick to the punch and he gets things done as quick as possible. One thing that he despises about the Demon Slayers is everything, it seems so drawn out. Where's everyone else? What are they even doing? And he wants to know how much strain the Hashira currently are in. How much work are they doing? I mean, Tomioka, the water Hashira, was even too late to save his own, or Tanjiro's family. So what does that say about the Hashira? Are they really that powerful? Maybe there's something that is missing for them. Maybe they're just using, well, breathing styles that aren't strong enough. Maybe they're using a power that isn't strong enough. Tanjiro looks at his own hands and he continues to move wherever this so-called crow tells him to, eventually arriving at this city, this little city that seems to be bright, especially for it to be extremely late at night. He begins to travel through the area and begins to sense around to see if he can spot the demon, eventually finding that so-called demon. Just as he does though, he recognizes the smell, the feel. He knows exactly who this is. This is the demon that killed his family. In a matter of seconds, Tanjiro is standing in front of that said demon and he looks at him. Why do you look so human-like? Tanjiro says this, and the little girl and the woman right next to this man are confused. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Hiding in this human flesh, it must disgust you. You're not even looking like your true form, huh? I mean, that's what I would assume. Tanjiro would then lift him toward the air, and Muzan Kibutsushi, seems to actually be struggling, being caught off guard. His eyes grow wide, and he realizes what this is, who this is. This isn't real. This can't exist. Tanjiro then puts him back toward the ground, smashing him slightly to the ground and forcing Muzan to basically reveal some of his power to escape. In a matter of seconds, Muzan is running away, seemingly running away on his own. Tanjiro smirks slightly and then reaches his hand out, closing the exits where Muzan is currently running. He's not sure, or Muzan isn't sure if he can actually beat this kid, not at the moment, because if all is real and all is true, and this kid is exactly what he's been fearing, this is gonna be far worse than that so-called sun breather Yorichi. This is not good. Muzan would eventually be able to escape, but that would only be because he basically would sacrifice multiple demons and other commotions to leave. Of course, now Muzan has, well, the idea of where and basically who this person is, but this can't be. Is this really the Sith breather? The one that basically has thrown away the mass majority of humanity within himself? Because of what? Because of him. Muzan then realizes, it clicks in his head, he created this. Muzan created the one and only Sith breather in thousands of years, ones that seem to be myth that never existed. He created it. He realizes what he's thinking, and he realizes that things need to be ramped up and things need to begin quicker than he possibly could imagine. And these other, higher tier demons need to exterminate the demon slayers as quick as possible, because who knows how strong this Sith breather truly is. Nonetheless, though, Tanjiro would meet with this other demon by the name of Yushiro, obviously meeting Lady Tamayao and speaking about a so-called cure. Tanjiro begins to tell her that he has no intention of trying to cure these demons, but then she points at his sister, saying that more or less they should be worrying about her. Tanjiro nods slightly and says that whatever they need, he'll get it for them. But I mean, obviously it's gonna take some time. Tanjiro is then told that they need the blood of the 12 Kizuki, higher tier demons, and just as she says this, Tanjiro says it's fine, and says that she should probably take some blood of his own, because I mean, the way Muzan ran away from him, it kind of seems as if his blood might be actually useful. Lady Tamayao is shocked to hear this, and Yoshiro can confirm it, that Muzan, he might have not been quote-unquote afraid, maybe he's just concerned over the fact that he doesn't know enough about this young man. He doesn't know enough about Tanjiro. He doesn't know if he's that strong, that weak, or beatable. Is he beatable? That's what Muzan is terrified of. He's always under the impression that every single human is beatable, but he knows so little about the Sith. This so-called Sith breathing, these blades that are brighter than the sun. They are no normal blades. A blade that is made out of a phantom ghost. A blade that is made out of no metal you would ever see on this planet or many others. It's something different. Even Muzan knows to be afraid of the unknown, and that's why he ran. Tanjiro says that he doesn't care why Muzan ran. Next time he won't be getting away. He took it too easy and too lax, especially when he caught him off guard, thinking Muzan wasn't as strong as he was. But Tanjiro can now tell where the depths of his power truly are. That maybe or maybe not, he might have not been able to beat him at that point, but at least Muzan being afraid of the unknown has given him the advantage. Of course, Lady Tamayao and also Yushiro are pretty shocked at hearing this. This is a boy. He's not a man or anybody that is of really big stature, Tanjiro, but he speaks as if he knows everything in absolutes. He speaks as if he knows so much more than practically everybody else. Nonetheless, his little mission of getting these 12 Kizuki's blood would then be confirmed. Tanjiro would tell her that he will have it handled and there'll be nothing to worry about. That as long as they can get a cure up and running for his sister, and also him being able to cut the head off of Muzan himself, he'll be happy. But just as he says this, of course, Lady Tamayao brings up the fact that there's a good chance that Muzan has conquered that he might be able to live getting his head cut off. Tanjiro looks at her for a second and asks if he can survive full vaporization, in which her eyes grow wide as the blade that Tanjiro's been using is revealed. That lightsaber, the metal that nobody would have ever known, this phantom of a blade is right in front of her. Red as could be, just like the scar on his head. Well, of course, she has no clue, but her best guess is to give Muzan this cure and some poison of some sorts, and maybe, just maybe, they could tone him down enough that pure vaporization would guarantee work. Tanjiro nods and says that makes sense. Tanjiro then tells her that they'll be in touch very, very soon, and not to do any funny business. And don't get it wrong, he still doesn't trust any of them. Just as he says this, him and Nezuko are gone. Yushiro and Lady Tamayao are pretty shocked at this, especially because he is no demon. He doesn't have super speed, super strength, but it's different. The feel is different. The power is different. Tanjiro is gone, and he begins to head off to his next location. Just as he begins to head off, though, to this brand new location, heading to this little mansion of some sorts, he's called by his crow once again, telling him that the Hashira want to speak with him one last time if he so chooses. Tanjiro reluctantly agrees to this and decides that he needs to spread this information anyways. When he heads back to the Hashira mansion, he wonders what they want to speak with him about. As he arrives, they all stand there and begin to question him about Muzan and how he got him to run away. Tanjiro begins to explain the same thing he did to Lere Tamayao and what their theories are as well, and everything that he has in the up and coming. Just as he explains all this, they tell him that he needs to get ready, that he might be strong right now, but he needs to train like a Hashira. They promise him that it will be beneficial, and if he sees no benefit in it, they will all, die by his blade, and they can promise that. Tanjiro is shocked to hear this, and the commitment alone at the idea of this training that they will basically give him, he decides that he'll follow suit. If they believe that, his potential is there and that this training will mean that much to the killing of Muzan, then why not? Maybe he'll bite. Tanjiro decides that he'll begin this so-called training, and he does begin the training. He starts the training with the simple thing, with Kanao and basically the cups, but that seems way too easy for him, leading him to the actual Hashira training that he realizes quickly is far harder than he possibly would expect. Other missions that he would have gone on toward that mansion would be handled by a couple other slayers that would be sent out. Tanjiro says that if they fail to get the job done on a mission he was supposed to be sent on, either they will tell him immediately and he'll get that job done, or they will go, one of the Hashira, and kill whatever demons are over there. Of course they agree. The potential they see in Tanjiro now, and even back then when they first met, is all still there, and honestly tenfold. Tanjiro's power is leaking out. His potential strength is insane, and his real training to be a quote-unquote Hashira, or the training to the progression of Hashira level, which you can argue he's already at for different reasons, finally begins. But after a day and a half, another mission would sprout up, and it seems like Demon Slayer after Demon Slayer is dying in this forest. Tanjiro hears about this and says that he's going to tag along. Just as he says this though, they kind of try to dispute it, but Tanjiro says that he needs to get the blood of a higher ranked demon anyways, and he can already sense and tell that that is what's going on, and that is what's basically tirading in that forest. It has to be. Tanjiro decides to head off with Shinobu and Gyu Tomioka, and finally he'll get his first taste at a higher ranked demon. Muzan may have ran away for his reasons, but maybe he figured something out. Maybe he has told everybody a way to beat this Sith breather. Maybe now they're not afraid. Well, we'll have to find out in the next and final parts of What If Tanjiro Had Sith Breathing. If y'all enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, a sub, and a comment down below, all that good stuff. As I said, the next episode we will begin with obviously the Rui Mountain, and then we will go all the way to the entertainment district, or however I see fit. Yeah, that's about it. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.